On May 9, 2022, in Evansville, Indiana, surveillance footage emerged showing a couple meticulously washing a pickup truck. The video, provided by a car wash employee, led authorities to another critical piece of footage: the pair entering a gray Cadillac DTS. The situation intensified when an Evansville police officer spotted the vehicle at a Motel 41. Reinforcements were called as the couple left the motel and got into the car, with the man behind the wheel. A high-speed chase ensued along U.S. Route 41, ending with the Cadillac veering onto a grassy field. A police vehicle executed a precision maneuver, ramming the Cadillac and causing it to flip into a ditch. As law enforcement closed in, the man surrendered without resistance. The woman, however, was found with a gunshot wound to the head. Desperately, the man pleaded with officers, "Please help my wife. She shot herself in the head and I didn't do it." Despite his claims, authorities found no evidence of their marriage. The woman was rushed to a nearby hospital but was pronounced dead hours later, her death ruled a suicide. She was laid to rest in Lexington, Alabama, just days after these dramatic events. In the aftermath, an anonymous tipster was awarded $5,000 by the state of Alabama for crucial information leading to their capture.
Some new information here first at 4. A grand jury has indicted Casey White on charges for escaping jail and murder. He's being blamed now for the death of a prison official who helped him escape. Casey White and Vicky White ran from Lauderdale County Jail in April. The manhunt lasted 10 days and ended in southern Indiana.
In 2022, Casey White, an inmate serving a 75-year sentence, managed to escape from the Lauderdale County Jail in Alabama. This escape was not a solo act. It involved inside help that shocked the nation and sparked a massive manhunt. This is the story of Casey White, his daring escape, and the pursuit that followed. Casey White was born on February 21, 1984, in Athens, Alabama. He had a criminal record spanning at least a decade. In 2012, he was sentenced to 3 years in prison for beating his brother in the face and head with the handle of an axe sledgehammer. In March 2016, he was sentenced to 75 years in prison for 7 counts, including attempted murder and robbery. In 2020, while serving his 75-year sentence at the William E. Donaldson Correctional Facility, he allegedly confessed to an investigator about the 2015 stabbing death of Connie Ridgway, a 59-year-old resident of Rogersville, Alabama, and was charged with 2 counts of capital murder. He was transferred to a detention center in Lauderdale County to face trial for Ridgway's murder. After being transferred, White recanted his confession and pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. Vicky Sue Davis White was the Assistant Director of Corrections at the detention center where Casey White was being held. She was set to retire on April 29, 2022, after 17 years as a corrections officer. She won the Employee of the Year award 4 times during her tenure and was set to win it for a 5th time in her last year of service. However, this was rescinded due to her involvement in Casey White's escape and her subsequent death. Vicky married Tommy White in 2002 but divorced him in 2006 due to his alcohol and drug abuse. She remained friends with him until his death in January 2022 and stayed close to her mother and ex-mother-in-law. She had no children and was 56 years old at the time of her death.
Security cameras in a car wash in Evansville, Indiana, captured this image of a man believed to be Casey White on the run after escaping jail in Alabama with his lover. The photos released by U.S. Marshals show a man who sure looks like the hulking 6'9" murder suspect. The tattoos on his right arm seem to be a match. He's shaved his beard and wearing a cap and sunglasses. His jail guard lover, Vicky White, was reportedly at the car wash but was not captured by surveillance cameras. Evansville, Indiana.
On the morning of April 29, 2022, at 9:30 a.m., Vicky White escorted Casey White from the Lauderdale County Jail in Florence, Alabama, to a police vehicle, then left the detention center. Surveillance video showed Casey in handcuffs and leg shackles. Casey, already serving 75 years for a 2015 crime spree, was at the facility for pretrial motions after confessing 2 years earlier to the 2015 stabbing death of Connie Ridgway. Vicky told fellow officers she was taking Casey to the county courthouse in Florence for a psychological evaluation, then going to see her personal physician since she was not feeling well. The task aroused suspicion, as inmates being taken to the courthouse are supposed to be escorted by 2 deputies. Authorities believe she was not challenged because of her position. The 2 never returned to the detention center. The Lauderdale County Sheriff's Department received surveillance video from a local gas station showing Vicky White's patrol car 8 minutes after leaving the detention center. Deputies checked the courthouse itinerary and found no hearings or evaluations scheduled that day. Authorities feared Vicky might have been forced or coerced into helping Casey escape and initiated a statewide manhunt.
He's in a maximum security prison now, about 2 hours away from me. But just last night, he was here in Florence to face a judge. Take a look. He got here just before 10 p.m. with a lot of law enforcement escorting him. During a 6-minute arraignment, the judge explained that he's facing a charge of escape in the 1st degree. He ignored questions from reporters as he walked by, and cameras were not allowed inside the courtroom. But Sheriff Rick Singleton says it was a relief to see him back in.
The manhunt quickly expanded from statewide to nationwide. The Ford Edge used as their second getaway vehicle was found abandoned in Tennessee. The couple had switched to a blue 2006 Ford F-150 pickup truck, checking in and out of several motels along the way. Vicky White was seen in surveillance videos with her blonde hair dyed black. The couple eventually arrived in Evansville, Indiana, where they rented a motel room. They paid a homeless man $100 to reserve the room, unaware that the couple was on the run. Authorities offered rewards for information leading to their capture and considered them armed and dangerous. Casey White was deemed so violent that even law enforcement personnel were advised to approach him with caution. On May 9, 2022, authorities in Evansville, Indiana, received surveillance video of the couple washing the pickup truck from a car wash employee. They were later spotted in another video getting into a gray Cadillac DTS. An Evansville police officer saw the vehicle at a Motel 41 and called for additional units. The couple left the motel and got into the car with Casey White driving. A chase ensued on U.S. Highway 41, and Casey drove onto a grassy field. A police vehicle rammed the Cadillac, causing it to flip into a ditch. As law enforcement converged on the vehicle, Casey White surrendered without incident, but Vicky was suffering from a gunshot wound to the head. Casey told officers, "Please help my wife. She shot herself in the head and I didn't do it." Authorities said there was no indication they were married. Vicky was rushed to a local hospital and pronounced dead hours later. Her death was ruled a suicide. She was buried at Center Hill Cemetery in Lexington, Alabama on May 14th. The state of Alabama eventually awarded an anonymous tipster $5,000 for information leading to the capture. Alabama authorities launched an investigation into the circumstances surrounding Casey White's escape. Vicky White was set to retire the day she left with Casey, but never finalized the paperwork. Before helping Casey escape, she sold her 4-acre property for $95,550, significantly less than the property's assessed value of $235,600. She had also bought several items, including firearms, men's clothing, and vehicles. Officers soon discovered that Vicky had been giving Casey special treatment, including extra food and privileges. Guards noted that Casey had a propensity for eliciting sympathy from the staff. Vicky's special treatment of Casey eventually led to a romantic relationship that may have begun in 2020. After this discovery, authorities terminated her employment and issued arrest warrants for her on May 2nd and May 6th, 2022, for helping Casey escape. After the Vanderburgh County coroner ruled Vicky White's death a suicide, her body was returned to Alabama. About 200 people attended her funeral. Casey was returned to Alabama the day after waiving his right to an extradition hearing. He was transferred back to the state prison in Bessemer, Alabama, rather than the facility from which he escaped. His motion for a preliminary hearing on the escape charge was denied on June 13th, with the judge referring the case to a grand jury. On July 11th, Casey White was charged with felony murder for Vicky White's death. His trial for the 2015 murder was scheduled for December 12, 2022, but was postponed to June 17, 2023. The trial for Vicky White's murder was set for April 17, 2023. In May 2023, Casey White reached a plea deal, pleading guilty to first-degree prison escape in exchange for not being tried for felony murder in Vicky White's death. In the weeks following their capture, the motel room where Vicky White and Casey White stayed became highly sought after, with a waiting list for the room reaching 60 bookings.